Hello, welcome. Over the past year or so, have actually gotten quite a few comments under my videos asking me styling questions, and I've answered them when I got them, but I thought maybe more people have questions, and I've been wanting to do like a comprehensive styling video. I'll do more if you guys like ideas like this, but more comprehensive styling videos because if you haven't seen a video from me before, I went to college for costume design and then I was a personal stylist for a little bit. So I have a background in clothing. So I put up a question about a month ago. No, almost 2 months ago. I'm so sorry. This took forever to come out. I asked you guys to ask me styling questions that you would like me to answer, and you guys sent me quite a few. So I'm going to answer them today. A couple of things before we get started. I have grouped certain questions together, changed a little bit of wording or shortened them just to make them shorter. This is just for video length sake because I do think this video is going to be very long. But just know I read your entire question. I know your entire question, but I needed your long questions to get exactly what you were asking. Just know that I know the entire question. Like I said, I kind of grouped some of these, so I'm going to answer these questions in groups. So a couple of the questions that I got, I consider to be styling staples, things that are like, regardless of aesthetic or personal taste, are just great to know and understand across the board. The first question we're going to tackle is, how do you tell what is timeless versus trendy? Now, I think the person who asked the question was specifically talking about style advice, but I'm going to kind of put the two together, styling advice and clothing, because whether I'm talking about styling advice or clothing, my advice is pretty similar. And while I don't think anyone is ever going to be perfect at sniffing out whether something is timeless or trendy, I think there are some helpful hints. So let's go back to actually college for me, where I was learning costume history, which I think helps a lot, funnily enough, with personal style. Well, hello, little sir. Hello, you gonna sit with me? Oh, goodbye. I have to put my dog up on his little stool. Let's get you up on your stool. Boop. He's happy. And what that professor taught me was that a lot of people in the fashion industry, a lot of experts, and even just people who are interested in fashion tend to say that fashion is a circle. And that's not really true. Fashion is a spiral where it will come back around, but it will be slightly different every time. And as we've gone through history, the coil is getting tighter and tighter as it's become easier to create clothing, as we've abused workers to get that clothing out to the public. But I think this is a great thing to keep in mind when you are looking for advice or clothing that you hope will last you a little longer. Because the more you've seen a piece of clothing, whatever iteration it may be going through currently, tends to mean that it will either stay in style for longer or be considered a classic or timeless item more often than not. And let me explain this a little bit better with an example, which is jeans. Jeans have been around since the late 1800s. In fact, I think it was the 1870s, and they served as men's work pants for a very long time. But it started to be something that was seen as rebellious fashion by teenagers in general, regardless of gender, in the 1950s. At that time, they were high-rise with an extremely loose fit or even a boxy fit. And we can see that specific style of jean or a variation of that style coming into style every couple of decades. So even to this day, a relaxed fit or straight leg jean tends to be considered the standard, the classic style of jean, that if you just want one pair of jeans, that's the pair you're going to want because that style tends to not ever go out of style. Now, let's contrast that with a jean that's actually very popular right now, which is the barrel jean. While this definitely has roots in history, I looked up a couple articles on it, and apparently it's based in 1920s French workwear, but I think it was more inspired by just the loose fitting denim, like well-worn denim of the time. From what I can tell, different sites said different things. We really haven't seen this particular style of jean before, but you have to admit, this is a very odd shape to make. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying this is definitely something that I would categorize as trendy. This is not going to stay in style for forever. This is not something that you can wear necessarily 20 to 30 years from now, unless you really want to. I'm also a person that's like, wear what you want, wear what makes you happy. But if you want to remain looking timeless and classic specifically, then these probably aren't for you. So what the first rule is basically is if you've seen it several times throughout history, even if you go all the way back 100, 200, 300 years ago, there are so many pieces of clothing and particular styles of clothing that have been going in and out of style for hundreds of years, which is crazy. If you've seen it several times in very close iterations of each other, that is going to be considered timeless and classic. Another thing that can be taught by just my barrel jean example is simplicity. A straight leg relaxed fit is a simple fit that can go with a lot of things. A barrel jean can't just go with everything. It is a very unique silhouette. So I hate to admit that as somebody that doesn't like to dress simply. Simplicity does often cinch whether or not something will be considered a classic in the future, because it can go with so many things. But I also want to say, if you are interested in a trend, that is not a bad thing. I am interested in trends all the time. But the thing that I will do to balance with pieces that I know can stay in my closet for a really long time, and especially with the popularization of aesthetics, I think it's going to become harder and harder to be considered out of style. I know that we're just trying to stop overconsumption. I tend to, when I like a trend, I tend to sit on that trend from anywhere from 6 months to even 2 years, because if I still like it 6 months down the road, if I still like it especially a year down the road, that usually proves that I'm gonna like this thing for a few years. So even if it's not considered classic in a few years, I'll still enjoy it. In my opinion, closets need to be a mixture of timeless classic pieces, because you can wear those things with so many other things, but also pieces that feel incredibly like you and like self-expression and things like that. So self-expression and things that you can wear forever, I think, need to be in balance in everyone's closet. Hope that those tips help. The next question is, in a nutshell, how do you pick colors that go well together that aren't necessarily neutrals? This is one of my favorite subjects, which is color theory. And this person specifically mentioned not really wanting black or brown in their closet. And as someone who tries actively to put as few neutrals into their closet as possible, I feel like I'm the perfect person to ask. First up, we're going to tackle color combinations that go well together that don't include any neutrals whatsoever. And then I'll give you an alternative to neutrals that I found really helpful. So let's start by pulling up our handy dandy color wheel. First up is complementary colors, which are colors that exist on opposite sides or opposite ends of the color wheel. So this would be pink and green, blue and orange, purple and yellow, and the very Christmassy red and green, which some people successfully make it not look so Christmassy, but I'm just saying. This usually looks really bold and dynamic, but also pleasing to the eye. These are colors that just really go well together. My personal favorites are yellow and purple, and blue and orange. Now, my favorite no neutral color combination is something called an analogous color combination, which are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. I always feel like these give off semi-similar vibes to a monochromatic outfit, but they are so much more feasible in everyday people's outfits. I feel like monotone is very hard to pull off without a pretty good amount of money and planning, but I also feel like it gives off a little bit more boldness from the complementary colors without being as bold. I do this color combination the most out of any of the ones I'm going to talk about today, and my personal favorite is blue and green. If you watch my channel, you've probably seen me pretty often do this color combination. Of course, as I talked about, there is also the monochromatic color scheme, which uses one color in different shades and tints, which means adding either white or black to one singular color, making it darker or lighter, basically. Now, as I mentioned, this is very hard to pull off because I was even going through Pinterest to give examples, and I felt like while people made valiant attempts, it wasn't technically monotone because there were different undertones. So if it was all blue, there was one that had a little bit more of a purple undertone and one that had a little bit more of a green undertone. So even the undertone, in my personal opinion, needs to match for it to be considered monotone. So I feel like it's very hard to successfully pull off, as I said, without a lot of money, where you can basically buy the same color from the same designer at the same time. I'm not saying it's impossible for the everyday person. I'm just saying it's difficult. There's also the triadic. Oh gosh, I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up.
Triadic.
Oh, it's triadic. I'm so glad I checked. Okay, cool. triadic color scheme. I always called tertiary for some reason. I think that was wrong. I think I was going off of tertiary characters from my theater days because there's secondary and then there's tertiary. I think I was mixing the two. Anyway, these are three colors that are equidistant from each other on the color wheel. So that means the primary colors of blue, yellow, and red are a really good example of that. And the secondary colors like orange, purple, and green. Now, in my opinion, these can start to look a bit busy. They still work. They're just a little busy. So what I tend to do when going off of the triadic, oh my gosh, how did I just pronounce it? When doing this color scheme, I tend to actually just cut an arm off, of the colors and just bring it down to two of those three colors. So like blue and red, I feel like can be a really good combination. My personal favorite is like a green chartreuse with a really deep purple. And that's just cutting off the orange from that one and cutting off the yellow from the blue and red. And I feel like that still really works well. In fact, you might have noticed that a lot of the color combinations kind of go with the colors that are associated with things like holidays. 4th of July is blue and red. Of course, our flag is also blue and red and white. Christmas is green and red. Halloween is purple and orange. These are all colors that are in color schemes together that work well. And I think that's why sometimes it's hard to make like blue and red look really good, because I feel like here in America, it could just look like you're wearing the American flag if you're not careful, but it can always work. I think it's just because it's associated with the holidays. But there's a reason that those holidays have those color schemes. It's because they work well together. Now, I also wanted to cover, if you want to ground your outfit without wearing neutrals, which is what I believe neutrals usually do, is ground your outfit, there is a subsect of colors called pseudo-neutrals. These are not technically neutrals, but they work so well with so many colors that they basically function as a neutral within an outfit. Burgundy and olive, I think, are like the most popular that I see the most people wear. There's a deep hunter green, a beet color purple, midnight blue, and blush are all also considered pseudo-neutrals. I personally use a lot of these colors in my closet to serve the purpose of a neutral without having to put a neutral in my outfit. All that to say, color is really fun to play with, so I would just say play, experiment. I was trying to keep this somewhat short, but I could literally talk about color theory for the entire video. So this is one of the ones that if you're interested in hearing a whole video about colors from me and how it goes with styling and clothing, I would love to do a video dedicated to this. So definitely comment down below if you're interested. The next set of questions that I received were questions that I'm putting under curvy, plus size, mid-size styling. I'm just putting it under curvy because some of these people, I don't know your sizes. But the first question in this that I received is, how do you style a tucked in shirt outfit on a plus size body that is pear-shaped that you would also like to have a more masculine look to? This person, I'm going to read a little bit more of this one just because I want everyone to be on the same page. They said, I'm not very comfortable tucking shirts in at all because of decades of indoctrination that seeing your belly will make you look fatter. And if masc styling is out of your wheelhouse, some help just getting over the fear of tucking shirts in would be a helpful start. Everything to do with style is in my wheelhouse. I'm just kidding, but I think I can help with this. I have an obsession with everything to do with style. I am constantly researching. I've definitely had a ton of different people that I've learned from over the years, so I hope I can help with this. As someone who is not skinny and also has a pear-shaped body, I've had to battle with a lot of similar feelings, just like not feeling comfortable in certain styles that I know I've been told I shouldn't wear over and over and over again. So here is some styling advice that I feel has worked for me and I hope works for you. If you are interested in styling something that you know society has told you doesn't look good on you, but you would like to try, you have to fight that part of your brain and you have to get used to the way you look in the clothes without like society's glasses being on you, if that makes sense. So you basically just have to wear the outfit. The thing that I tend to do is, because taking that big leap is sometimes too large for me, I can't take that leap of just wearing it. I give myself outfits that I call training wheels outfits. Your brain basically needs to catch up to what your eyes already know. When I had to take figure drawing classes and drawing classes, a lot of the times my professor would be like, you need to get out of your brain of what your brain thinks it knows about what it's seeing and just let your eyes lead you. And I feel like that is the way that styling needs to go too for a lot of us people who have been told that our bodies need to look or be a certain way. I feel like we kind of need need to do the same thing of trusting our eyes, having our brains get over that jump. So my training wheels for this specific, more mask looking outfit would be to tuck your shirts into your pants, but to wear a layer over that as well. That could be a button down, that could be a sweater vest, anything that has an opening in the middle, but is kind of like this cardigan, covers it in the side. So a cardigan would also be a great option. You of course mentioned you wanting to look more mask in your clothing. So I would say a boxier fit, like a button up or a simple cardigan, could really help while covering up a little bit more, quote unquote. It'll also give you time to get your brain used to how you look in that outfit. And once you're used to how you look in that outfit, you can start taking the top layer off. I would also, for the silhouette that you want, keep both bottoms and top a little bit more of an oversized, relaxed look. That will keep that boxier, traditionally masculine silhouette. The second thing that I have is the type of pant to do your tucked in look for. There are two styles of pants for the look you want that I would recommend, or the look that I think you want. First off, just a generally relaxed, oversized looking pant, as I kind of already mentioned, but it also doesn't really, it just kind of stays away from your body a little bit. So as you're getting used to this look, that could really help. The second kind is some kind of pleated, straight leg, wide leg trouser. As a fellow curvy person, these are harder to find. I will say they tend to not fit a curvier person well, but I have found a few, and now I know that when I find them, I should buy them in several colors. Both of these styles kind of skim over the body instead of being more fitted, which not only helps with the like getting over the hump of how you feel like you look in the clothes, but it also keeps that more traditionally mask silhouette. These are definitely not the only ones that work for a more mask look, but what you were saying about your personal comfort level, I was trying to like balance that out. So I hope that helped. How do you wear a baggier style or baggier clothing without looking frumpy? I personally think this is a two-part answer. First, I'll give you a couple of tips that I've found helpful because I've been experimenting with this style of clothing as well. But first off, the thing that I found helpful is, and I don't really know how to say this, you want to make sure that the crotch region of your pants is showing. The reason for this being is that will create a slightly longer line and make the silhouette look a little bit more put together. It will show off a little bit more of a silhouette and it keeps your shape from getting completely lost. I'll put up a couple of pictures that show when the top goes below the crotch line of the pants. It tends to lose the body a little bit, which is not bad. I'm just saying if you're struggling with a silhouette, that could be helpful. The second thing is I would use layering to your advantage because I tend to think that helps segment the body a little bit more and break up the eye, making it look a little bit more structured than it is when you're first getting started. Again, I'm kind of talking again about training wheels outfits, but I also have a couple of similar things to say to the last question as well. And I don't know if this is your issue. I'm talking about me and maybe hoping that some people can be helped by this, because when I started experimenting with this style, I had a lot of thoughts of like, oh, I don't look good in this. It's not for me, which is not true. People of every size can look good in anything. Style, in my opinion, is self-expression. It's not meant for other people to think you look good. It is for you to feel good and feel like you are expressing yourself through your clothing. Oliver, I'm talking to people. I'm a very busy woman. So part of my problem was just trying to get myself used to how I looked in it. And again, I'm not saying this is your issue. I'm just saying this was my issue when I first started experimenting, because we are taught like, don't take up space. Don't try to look bigger, quote unquote, than you are. You can look good and look bigger. You can look good and take up more space. Those things are not mutually exclusive. I will say this for the third time. I'm not saying this is what you're going through. I'm saying this is what I went through. And other people who are watching might be helped by this, but you might be helped by this too. But again, I don't know your particular outlook on this style. There we go. Just trying to really cover my butt here. Next question is basically a question about how to find clothing and patterns for someone whose weight fluctuates a lot. I am one of those people as well. I don't know how you knew that. I tend to fluctuate around my time of the month. I think the most a person who has a period can gain during that time is like 10 pounds. And I gain every single one of those pounds pounds. Oh my gosh, I can't fit into the pants that I fit into the rest of the month. It is terrible. But I found a couple of types of pieces that really help. One thing that I do when I'm sewing is I try to add lacing to as many pieces as I can, specifically my dresses. I've actually recently seen a short that has lacing on it, and I really want to try that out with either a pair of pants or a short. I'm not sure yet, because you make some of the pieces bigger and then lace yourself down into it. So if you gain weight, you can still fit into the piece. You just lace it looser. It's been really helpful. Elastic and waistbands is another thing that I think is super helpful. However, I'm very picky about that because I feel like all too often, and there's a full waistband, not all the time, but most of the time, it ends up looking like pajamas or like chef pants. Does that have a name? I don't know. But you know, those people have to be comfortable. So of course they're wearing that. So I made a pair with all elastic that was really thick and like sturdy, and that ended up looking okay to me. The number one thing that I look for in trousers so that I can gain or lose weight is I look for just the back to have elastic, because then it will grow or shrink with me, but a belt can just cover it up. You can't even tell when you have a belt on with it that there's an elastic in the back, but the front still looks nice and structured. As for actual patterns that are good, because that was part of the question, was patterns that I found, sewing patterns, I haven't found like any outside of ones that have lacings on them. However, one day on Pinterest, I saw a video. I think their name is Michael Smith. And I don't know if they made these pants or bought these pants, but they were these pants that were like 3 sizes too large for this person. But then they used hook and bars to make it look like interesting pleats, but it's the way to actually close the garment and make it fit you. And there were 2 different sets of bars. You know, if you're bloated or gaining weight, you can go to the bigger one, or if you're shrinking or not bloated, you can go to the smaller one. And I think that's genius. I want to try that so badly. I'm trying not to promise things on this channel anymore because I'm so finicky and fickle about what I want to make when I want to make it, but I would love to make these pants soon. They look so cool and interesting. I will keep my eye out though for patterns in the future, and I'll share it when I do find them. But if you guys have any, because I love when we do this and we share information, if you guys have any good patterns for somebody whose weight fluctuates, I would love for you to comment them down below. I'll definitely check them out, and I'm sure other people would appreciate it too. So cool. So a couple of people asked for curvy but modest, more covered up styling tips, or without having like a lot of cleavage showing, I think is what one person said. One person also asked for like the girly, cute aesthetic vibes as well. As we all know, people want to dress modestly for an array of reasons, whether that be personal, whether that be religious. For me, it's more for like personal comfort reasons. I kind of, in my day-to-day life, roll around on the ground like a gremlin, and I always make the joke that while I am an extreme introvert, my boobs are extroverts, and they will pop out of anything that they can. So I tend to just cover up a little bit more for that reason. But it's an array of reasons. So let's cover some tips I have. If you like the more feminine, girly style, but would like to remain just a little bit more covered up, a little bit more maybe covering the décolletage in particular, layering is going to be your best friend. A long sleeve or a light turtleneck, while the weather is still cool outside, works perfectly for right now. And when it's warmer, layering a t-shirt, a camisole, or a tank top underneath could also be a really great option. That way you can get the prettier details of dresses that really don't feel like they're made for a curvier body. So that way you can still get those lacy, delicate, more traditionally femme details while still going with your own comfort level and aesthetic. Another tip that I have is to look for, in already more modest garments, tiny, lacy, delicate details that could push the more traditionally femme vibe. I like to look for lace detailing in blouses, collars and dresses. Floral detailing and scalloping or scallops of any kind already really sells that look. Small ruffles or ruching on like tops, dresses can be a really nice little detail on maybe like a higher neck top. All of these things will push an outfit more towards that like girly femme aesthetic. Somebody else specifically wanted short and curvy style advice with also just like a little bit more modest as well. So I'll cover that here. I think a lot of my stuff from before this applies, but I'll just tack on a little bit more information here for that person. I do think that literally any style can work on any body type. So I would definitely experiment, but here are some like starter points that I think might help you. For skirt length, I would probably stay from anywhere from like a midi length to a knee length. I feel like it's a little bit easier to get lost in full length skirts sometimes. I think a defined waist usually keeps the silhouette in check. Again, being a little bit on the shorter side, you might feel like you're getting lost in your clothing a little bit. And these are a couple of ways to keep that silhouette from feeling swallowed up. Lastly, for pants, you can go for any length, but I would probably go for a length that hits the shoe to almost sweeping the ground, like that 1/2 inch off the ground. It just keeps that leg line long, which I think looks really nice. I tend to like a contrast in my silhouette. I think it looks the best for me in particular. If my top is looser, then my bottom is a little bit tighter and vice versa. So I usually wear a tighter fitting top and a looser pant. I just think that this contrast works really well, probably on any body type, but I tend to like it on myself. But again, you can totally break all of these rules. I break these rules all the time. Just if you are wanting a starting point, I think these would be good. All right, next up, I received a couple of questions about office appropriate clothing, but specifically there were 2 different questions. One was how to imbue your personal style into your office wear as someone who didn't want to buy a whole bunch of new pieces for their office appropriate workwear. And the second person asked what makes an outfit feel more polished, especially for work. So as far as the first question of imbuing your personal style more into your workwear, I feel like this is not across the board, but I feel like certain areas have gotten a lot better at being a bit more quote unquote relaxed in how they treat office wear. So I don't know specifically where you're going to work or where you do work at this point. I'm not sure. So regardless of how lax or strict about office appropriate workwear that your company may have, I think I have a couple of tips that can help regardless. My main piece of advice is if you don't want to wear many pieces or buy many new pieces of workwear for your job, I would say per outfit, you need one good work appropriate piece. So that could be a trouser or skirt, a suiting vest or suiting jacket, or even a button down, nicely ironed shirt. Once you have that base, it becomes a little bit easier to add your more outside of work pieces to it and still retain the office feel. I would also use layering to your advantage. I feel like having like a pair of trousers with some kind of blouse and cardigan still feels really office appropriate. I don't really know what your personal aesthetic is, but if you happen to have any vintage looking, vintage inspired, or even vintage pieces, I would consider putting those into your office wear or adding them into your office wear. I tend to feel like vintagey looking pieces automatically look professional, but kind of whimsical and full of personality at the same time. Now, again, every office has its own vibe, and how relaxed or strict it is about workwear is different, but I hope that this can help to a certain extent. As far as the person who is asking how to make outfits, but specifically workwear outfits, more polished, my first thing is, do you all remember that like TikTok viral sound? I'm not on TikTok, but I do go on YouTube Shorts, and so all the TikTok trends go there, where it was like, if something's not interesting through color, then it has to be interesting through shape. If it's not interesting through shape, then it has to be interesting through texture. And if it's not interesting through texture, then it has to be interesting through color. That is some awesome style advice, but there was something else that I learned back in my day, which was that every well put together outfit has 4 things: color, texture, pattern, shine. I think both of these ideas can really help. They kind of have a similar idea, and I think both of them can help make an outfit look more polished while still retaining your personal style and aesthetic. So I would say you need at least one of those things in every outfit. But if you want to make it look really polished and really well put together, I would try to put as many of those things into one outfit as possible. Having a good color and a good texture in an outfit is a great way to amp it up a level. Having some shine added to what is otherwise a more simpler outfit could be really great. To have as many as you possibly can, you don't always need all 4, but I would say 2 to 3 in every outfit is a good range to look for when trying to look more polished. My second piece of advice is if you want to look really polished, the best way to do that is probably by having a closet that fits you impeccably. I don't know how much tailor costs nowadays. I remember back in the day that it was like $10 to $12 per piece where I lived, even sometimes $20 depending on what you wanted changed. I'm sure it's much more expensive now because that was a good decade ago. But if you have some extra money and are really looking to have your closet look as polished as it can. I would recommend trying that out. Also, I would say if you don't have the money, then the other great thing that you can do, which is what I always do, is I fix it myself. You don't necessarily need to have a sewing machine, but if you do and you have some sewing knowledge, I would recommend trying it out. There's a ton of YouTube videos telling you how to make basic fixes. You don't even have to have a sewing machine. You can just have basic hand stitching skills and look that up on YouTube. YouTube is such a great amount of knowledge that you can get for free. Now we're going to the other side, which is everyday wear questions. My first question on this was, how do you keep a unique sense of style in everyday wear? I actually have some similar advice to the office wear questions, but kind of using it for the inverse reason. So you'll want to add either color, texture, pattern, shine to any of your everyday outfits, but for everyday outfits, you just need one, in my opinion. And on top of that, my advice would be that those pieces are some of the more unique pieces in your closet. So when you wear the rest of your outfit, it can just be t-shirts, jeans, even sweatpants, sneakers. If you have that one really cool piece, it can completely elevate the whole outfit and it can make it look so unique and personalized to you just by having that one piece. Looking for a unique piece that contains color, texture, pattern, shine, one of those, you immediately make something that could just be a really normal outfit into something super individualistic. Some examples would be like a really crazy vintage looking sweater paired with just like a basic pair of pants or a jean, pair of pants or skirt that has a really unique style line or closure or pattern worn with just a basic t-shirt or a basic top. Even a unique accessory or interesting accessory like a hat or jewelry can just make an outfit feel so much more like you. Mixing patterns is also a really interesting way, I feel like, to express yourself, but also to make the outfit a lot more interesting. So my main advice is that you don't need the entire outfit to be like oozing with personality, especially when it can feel like it's too much pressure outside of work in your everyday to do that. But if you still want to look like yourself and feel like you're expressing yourself, then I would just focus on one piece per outfit. The next person asked a similar question, but specifically asked for inspiration for everyday outfits, but still a bit casual as well. So I think a lot of what I just said before pretty much is an answer to this question, but I also wanted to talk about something that I just generally wanted to talk about in this video. I'm looking for inspiration all the time. Like I said, I do kind of have an obsession with style. I follow people that specifically have vastly different styles and aesthetics to myself. It's great to follow people that you would like to dress like, that feel like they have a personal style that's closer to yours. But I feel like I have learned so much more from people whose styles are vastly different from mine than I have from people who match my personal style. I feel like you notice things more, and I learn from everyone, but I feel like I pick up more little bits of knowledge from those people. I guess because I'm noticing the differences more. I have a vast amount of people that have a different aesthetic, different way of dressing, different way of thinking about clothing than you. I have put up some of my favorites that I currently am a fan of. I definitely have a lot more than this. This was literally the first few that I could just think of off the top of my head. All right, and the last one were questions that I couldn't really put into a neat little category, so I'm calling this miscellaneous. The first question is basically advice on styling accessories, especially close to the face, and a couple of things like haircuts and stuff like that, and how they can best complement your personal style and your features. As you might be able to tell, I'm a person that doesn't really focus on accessorizing too much. It's a part of styling that is just personally not my favorite part, so I don't focus on it. I am kind of a one cool accessory per outfit kind of person. In fact, today is probably the most you'll see me accessorize, like a cool little necklace, a cute little acorn earrings, and like a lacy headscarf. That's the most I'll do. But I do love seeing people who truly understand accessorizing, so I'll give you a few of those tips that I've noticed. I do feel like people who try to tell you that a certain accessory will look better on you because of your features, I'm not going to say it's a complete scam. I kind of feel the same way that I do about color analysis, where yes, There are going to be colors that do look amazing on you. There's going to be accessories that feel like they were just made for you. Basically, these ideas aren't entirely unwarranted, but giving up on trying something just because someone told you that it would not ever look good on you because of your face shape or your complexion, that's when it starts to feel like a scam. It's up to the individual person, and anybody can really make anything work. There's so much of styling, as I feel like I've said several times, this is about self-expression. So if you like the piece, you wear it. You will make it look good because you're enjoying wearing it. Being really good and competent at accessorizing can be the thing that makes an outfit go from just okay to feeling very completed and very cool and very interesting. Adding a baseball cap to a more femme skirt dress outfit is such a good juxtaposition and takes that outfit in a really cool direction. Adding a neckerchief or one of those knitted neck scarves to an outfit either makes you look like you own like a yacht in a cool way, or more grandma core, which is a personal favorite of mine. A bunch of rings, bracelets, and necklaces all styled together with especially like different lengths on the necklaces, making sure that they don't cover each other, can automatically make an outfit feel, in my opinion, a lot more artsy. A beret or a newsboy cap, neither of those fit me correctly now, but when I was in middle school, I had a newsboy cap. I loved that hat. I'm so excited that it's back in style. When you add that to an outfit, it automatically feels more polished, but at the same time, a little bit more whimsical. I also love when people match the colors of their accessories. It is such an added amount of thought, and the outfit looks so cool and completed. Lastly, I think using makeup and hair as their own accessories is a great idea. You can take a basic t-shirt and jeans, and if your hair is a really interesting haircut or color, or if you've really done a cool makeup job, the outfit is already more interesting. I've known plenty of people that have like shaved their head or gone for a really interesting haircut that all of a sudden feel like their outfits are so much easier to put together because their hair is already cool. Somebody asked me what were my favorite things that I've made and what do I wear most often. I tend to just wear pretty often what I've worn most recently, and then I'll cycle in and out of wearing it after that. Like right now, I've been wearing that plaid dress that I thrifted. I've been wearing that one a lot. I've been wearing my plaid pants that I made. I've been wearing both of those pretty often. I tend to wear my corsets a good amount when I'm in the mood for a more fantasy inspired outfit because all of my corsets are me made. But again, I do cycle in and out of my me-made clothing. And lastly, I believe someone asked about like what's my favorite like winter styling things right now. Sorry that winter is almost over. I think we have maybe a little less than a month left. I actually did a Is It Cute or Is It Pinterest video where I did actually talk about the winter styles that I was really into this year. So I'll let you go over and watch that one if you want to. Really, my main advice at the end of the day, just generally, is have fun. I feel like personal style is such a journey. So I kind of treat it the way that like my art professors treated art class, which was you learn the rules in order to break them. So yes, learn some basics, but once you know them and once you understand them, definitely start to experiment and find out what actually works for you. And you know, along the way, try to be a little kinder to the earth if you can, if that's possible for you. Hopefully you get to a place where you feel like your personal style is a true expression of you. That is going to be it for me this week. I just want to give a personal thank you to everyone who asked your questions. This ended up being a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be because I was having so much fun. So this was a very fun video for me to do. Like I mentioned earlier, if there were any concepts that I talked about here, because I was just trying to touch upon everything, if you'd like me to go deeper into any one idea, please let me know for like doing a full video on something. Or if you want me to do another one of these videos where I just answer your questions. All those sound fun to me. I want to thank all of you for watching this video. And if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe. That would really help me out, as well as liking and commenting are also super helpful. I hope you had a good time, and I hope to see you back here next time. Bye. All right, where was I? I don't remember. I said that's so weird. I use these in my color. Am I doing it? I don't remember what I said. I'm dying. I thought it'd be a good idea to break this up over a few days. When I do a video like this, my throat hurts so much. I don't know how people talk to a camera for more than like 30 minutes straight at a time. It's very impressive, or maybe I just don't talk that much in my day-to-day life, it's a very real possibility. Oh, no. I feel like full length. Oh my gosh, let me say this one more time. I keep messing up. Or not lax. Not lax, it's strict. Your day to day. First question I got on this was, how do you keep, can I talk today? I don't think I can. Unique sense of style in everyday wear. The first question I got on this was, how do you keep